Hey guys, my name's Andrew Pecoraro with Pecksmetalpicks, and I'm here with Oceano. Here with...
Hey, I'm Adam, and I do vocals.
Chris, and I play bass.
Andrew, I play drums.
Scott, I play guitar.
Alright guys, my first question goes to your tour vlog video that you just put out.
Oh.
I have to admit, in my head, since like 9th grade, I have called you Oceano in my head. So, but for the record, it is Osheeano, right?
Yeah, but
Say it, Adam. How is it said
I say it
properly?
Oceano, but I think it's kind of, honestly, it's like a Chicago thing.
In Italy, they say ocean.
Yes, but like
I'm half Italian, so maybe that's it.
I've also heard Oceano, but like generally I think it's carried on furthest as Osheano. So
Okay. Yeah.
when
Alright,
I
cool.
kind of when I joined the band, that was still up in the air, and I kind of was like, all right, fuck it, it's gonna be Oceano, and that's how it's gonna be.
Okay, cool. So, Ascendants, your most recent record, is a lot of it has to do with aliens and that kind of stuff. Where did you get the album, or I mean the concept behind the album and the whole story for that? Anybody can answer this one. I'm gonna give it a shot, Andrew. Who came up with
it's
it?
Probably better.
All right, Adam.
Like, let's go on, take a run with it.
Okay, all right.
How about
repeat
do
the question one more
okay.
time.
First off, what is the theme of what is the story and the concept of Ascendants?
I mean, well, it's deep for sure. It's fucking deep. Can I swear on this one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's
Should ask
around
that
the
earlier.
concept of what he wrote. So.
So
All right.
back over here. Bring it back.
Let's go.
That's honestly what
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't have.
No.
I didn't know everybody was going to be in it, so I kind of based them for Adam. But
just
Here we are.
get as much participation as we can from everybody.
Well, it's deep. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
6 inches plus.
it's basically, I mean, I'm gonna try and not go too deep with this explanation, so it's not too long. Basically, it's stemmed from things that I'm interested in personally, which is a lot of theories on extraterrestrials and paranormal phenomenon, but it also kind of branches away from that also into some other alternative theories and things such as like time travel and alternate dimensions and dream state kind of experiences and things like that, but it's all centered around general belief that we are descendants of extraterrestrials and we have those powers within us and we just aren't capable of tapping into them yet.
All right, cool.
That's it.
That's it.
So how many out of the four of you believe that there's something bigger out there? Or is this just like an album idea?
I believe it.
I back it.
definitely. Yeah.
3 out of 4? What about you?
I think you're an idiot if you don't believe that.
All right, 4 out of 4.
There's so much shit out there.
Yeah,
No
you
doubt.
can't really say that there's not, huh? 'Cause you don't know.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
it
'cause
could
you
be
don't know.
really-
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be weird if there wasn't.
You could say all your life like, oh man, aliens, whatever, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you walk into McDonald's and fucking some guy fucking comes right behind you and he's an alien, you know?
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. As simple as that.
Planes with the wrong eyelids.
That's it.
Well, they already found out different galaxies already, so.
Do you think that there has already been contact made? Do you think that what do you think would happen? Do you think it'd be peaceful?
With
Do you
people,
think they've already visited?
With people, well, I think, yeah, both sides, definitely. I mean, I think that astronauts and people that work for NASA have made contact. I believe. I'm full belief that. And absolutely, yeah, there's some shit too.
All right, cool.
I mean, Will Smith saved the world a couple years back. We all know the deal.
I think they're remaking
now
it.
his son's coming back to save it again.
Yeah.
Not his real son, but the son in the story.
All right, guys. The next question comes up still on Ascendants. It has 9 tracks, which some people would say is a little bit shorter for like an album. On top of that, a lot of the songs are on the shorter side of 3 minutes, probably on average. What was the writing process for that like? Was there a reason that you kind of kept it so short? Especially your older stuff was like 15 and then 12 and then I think 12 again. Who wants this one?
It was like the situation. We had a little short time span to get it done and stuff. So events happened too. Like family stuff happened too. So we only had a certain amount of time to write it. So
Okay.
kind of crunch time, you know.
Also,
I mean, it's not. It doesn't even sound rushed. I mean, of course, I'm sure people wish that it was longer, but it's not like.
I'll add
Not
to that.
rush, it'd just be only-
I'll add that too because I know lots of the dudes and general people were like, oh man, this one's shorter than the others. But to me, we also came to this expecting to have another one coming fairly shortly.
Right.
And
Oh, man.
I personally feel I'm happy that it's a shorter album because I feel that depths, listening back to it, it's too long to me, where there's not enough albums that or songs that shine through on that album, whereas this
I
one,
especially- I especially don't like songs that drag on though, so I think that's what it is too.
Yeah.
I like straight to the point and then that's done.
Definitely, I think, in my opinion, Ascendants was a precursor to eventually the lineup that has come to the music that was being put out forth. Is, you know, you're going to see a little bit more dabbed into that with a lot more to come on the next one to follow.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. When I was listening to it, preparing the questions, like pretty much every track stands on its own and is really good. When I was going back and comparing it to other albums, pretty much, yeah. So that actually comes right into my next question, which is, if you guys as a band had to play an album in its entirety, which one would you want it to be?
Ascendants.
Ascendants?
Yeah.
Ascendants.
Yeah, Ascendants.
So that's just your favorite album that
Or
you
the,
guys
or,
have
the,
made?
or the next record.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to add some questions into that at the end.
For us has been, we're really excited about what is about to come to everybody that's going to listen to it, and
Yeah, that's just it's just really it's a kind of a jump start for the future of the band. You know,
Ascendants was just such a.
I mean,
precursor.
I think we all want to not only leave the fans hungry, but we want to leave ourselves hungry too, because it's just motivation for the next step and how we want to take this band.
The way you
to the
guys are
next
talking
level.
about it
Yeah.
kind of sounds like even 7 years after you started, that this is kind of like the real beginning of it.
Well, yeah, I mean it's
Like
yeah,
setting
it's-
things
it's
up and-
awakening.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely I mean, we're all excited. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it comes down to is we're excited. We're yeah.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to hear it.
When you look at it this way, I mean, Oceano's been around for a long time, and there's been through quite a bit of different lineups, and to where it's at now, it's it's settling itself back into a longer future than where it was before with who was in. I guess.
This wasn't going to be my next question, but it was one of the future ones. If you ask me, I think Ascendants is probably your best record, even though Depths was like a masterpiece from 2009. I would also say Incisions was probably the weakest one.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, Ascendants was one of like the best comeback albums ever. Like when I first listened to that, I was just like, holy shit, they're back. Do you guys, like, talking about this next album, do you guys kind of feel like revived for like the scene and the music and that kind of stuff?
I think so. I can be sometimes jaded about certain things in the scene and stuff, but I think once you get to a certain, obviously when you first pop off as a band, that's going to be usually the most craziest time because you're new, everyone wants to see you and listen to you, and kind of for us, we rode that wave, and now we're at a point where we're trying to show, and I think we are showing that we are a legitimate band that has stood the test of time, and we have also revitalized and regrown to be where we're at now. So the next album, to me, that's what Ascendants was setting up for. Like, Ascendants was getting everyone's attention back and be like, okay, this is a band that still has a drive and a hunger, and we're still going at it, and we still want to play heavy music. And the next album is, I think, the one that'll really stand up to a lot of the I don't know, just stand up to
Awesome,
the
man.
expectations,
It's gonna make a
that
statement.
I had, started.
It's gonna make a statement.
You guys are getting me real excited about this. Can you say what the album's name is, like, or is it even
No,
too
it's not-
early
it's not
for
even-
that?
Yeah, it's not even there yet.
It's
Okay.
in the process more of just like instrumentals as it is, like what we get to bounce back and forth with.
If you heard what was brewing, you'd probably spill your coffee and burn your leg.
All right. On the topic of future things, you guys are about to start the Straight Outta Hell Tour with Suicide Silence, Whitechapel, Carnifex, Despised Icon, and of course Osheeano. possibly the best deathcore tour that has ever existed. How do you guys feel about that and just being on such a tour? You guys stoked? Like,
2 words, fucking pumped.
fucking pumped.
Seriously.
You know?
Like,
We high-fived everybody as soon as we heard about it, and, you know, fuck yeah.
I know, it's so cool, like
fucking
Despised Icon coming back all of a sudden, and
I mean, dude, yeah, it's sick. I mean, it's cool also, too, I think, because all the bands have really put a lot into the genre, and to bring all the bands together on a package like this, you know, it just really, not only does it give back to, like, all the fans of it, but it's like, it's gonna just be a great time for both everybody that's on the tour and everybody that comes to the tour, really. I mean, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Get your tickets, because the shit's gonna sell out.
oh, I'm sure it's
Mark
gonna
my
sell
words.
out. Are you guys friends with a lot of those bands? Because, I mean, Whitechapel and Suicide Silence are kind of the 2 huge deathcore ones. Then you guys, Carnifex and Despised Icon. Like, you guys have all been huge names in the scene forever. Are you guys friends with all of them, or how did they pick out that you guys were going to be on
I
it?
mean, yeah, through different members. I mean, different points of time, you get to meet different people as you tour and travel and play with different bands. You know, and I mean, obviously, the more you tour, the more people you're going to meet, and you know, the more friends you're going to make. Obviously, Adam's been a standstill. He's been doing this for so much longer, and you know, so he gets to meet all these kind of people. And,
I think no matter what, all the bands are ready to do
Destroy.
this,
Yeah, none of these
to
bands
do this
are-
and do it as like a family tour, you know, like
Yeah.
I just have that feeling that all the bands are really like, they're really excited about this tour. Like, and without even reaching out to any of them, I'm sure that everybody's ready to fucking kill it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And fucking rage afterwards.
It's going to be awesome.
like any of these bands have been around for like 2 years. You know, these bands have been around for at least a decade. You know, at this point.
Yeah.
And so this is, in my opinion, a long time coming.
Yeah, cool.
Totally.
So Adam, this next question comes to you. In 2012, you kind of stepped away from Osheeano with the birth of your kid and to focus on like family things and stuff like that. How was it deciding to step away from music? And obviously you came back. How was it deciding to get back into it? And I don't want to say like leave the family stuff behind, but like, you know, go on tour for months at a time.
Well, not to take this too dark of a place, but it basically came down to I made that decision and I was completely fine with it. But things turned awry where I didn't have that. That basically my decision to do that and sticking with that, it ultimately was taken away from me. So I made a decision that within that emptiness, that I would come back to the one thing that, regardless, has still kept me happy and, you know, has been a big part of my life, which is the band. So both sides of it were just it's just timing and then how life played out to where I made, you know, one decision and it didn't really work out the way I wanted, and you know, and now I'm back here doing this and I enjoy it and I'm happy to be here.
Cool. All right, this next question is kind of long. So it pretty much has to do with the fact, like, obviously Oceano is super heavy and you guys have always been heavy. How have you decided to stay heavy? And as part of that, does it have to do with your lyrics, or are the lyrics kind of like a byproduct of the fact that you're a heavy band?
It's kind of like you got something to say.
Just gotta bring the beef, man.
Yeah.
You gotta bring that breakdown. That's all you gotta do.
You know, you see over time a lot of these bands changing the styles and, you know, going with, I guess, the sense of a new era of music, but at the same time, it's, you know, it'll like stray away from what's sick. You know?
Yeah.
I guess.
That's true. Like when you're
If I
writing
put
about
it,
like,
it's like, you know, this shit gives you a different feeling, you know, and in my opinion, from when you're on stage playing it, I mean, there's a euphoria with it, and
You wanna
Honestly,
you get deeper
once
into it.
once the vocals are recorded, that's what makes the stamp of being an Oceano. So.
Right.
yeah, I guess the thing I was kind of going for is like just the fact that you write about like alien invasions and like diseases and like I mean all that stuff, like it's pretty crazy. So obviously the vocals have to match that, and you guys are gonna continue just destroying everything. All right, cool.
the passion to be heavy as fuck sits
here.
here.
Yeah.
All right, cool. This next question kind of has to do with, I'm going to say, like, the current state of deathcore. And I actually like the fact that all four of you guys are here, because maybe one of you will have something, you know, really stand out to say. Pretty much, deathcore's changed a lot over the years. You can tell looking back at Depths, which was a masterpiece of 2009, and Ascendants, to now. Where do you guys think deathcore is going to be headed in the future? Seems like it's a little more technical these days.
Probably not a question for me because I don't really listen. I listen to Boston, so I don't really listen to a lot of death metal and shit. So
Okay.
So maybe.
Does anybody want to handle this one?
Well,
Maybe
I mean,
Hannah.
my only statement I could say is that, you know, I think there's been a lot of bands that have started out trying to form themselves as a deathcore band and really worked on their formula, but over time, like I just going back to my statement that I just said about us wanting to just stay heavy as fuck, like as soon as there's somebody within a group, within a band that wants to adapt it somewhere else. Not saying that necessarily it's a bad thing, because you know bands can do whatever they want to do nowadays. You know, I mean, you're hearing bands that have been heavy forever that are, you know, going different spots. But that's really all it comes down to, is if somebody in the band wants to make a change and everybody agrees on it, then that's it. Then that's basically it. You know, but if everybody in the group's like, hey, you know, we just want to keep this formula fucking brutal, then I mean, then you just go with it. You know what I mean? You just work on that and just ride that. You know what I mean? That's really all I can say about it. It just comes down to, I think, what everybody in the group wants to do. If they continue to want to be heavy and progress as heavier and heavier, or just, you know, on that heavy level, then they're going to do it. But if they want to switch it up and do whatever, then things are going to start, you know, going towards
singing.
Something else,
I
basically,
agree with you in that.
Bring me the horizon.
I see that in, like, in the sense of, like,
What?
the music in all genres change with the decades of time. You know, each decade is going to bring you a new wave of something that once was, that's going to be something new with that. And, you know, with these bands here, it's like you'll see a little bit, but not so dramatic of a change between a 10 year to 15-year period or whatever. But it's like those kind of bands that make that staple of, you know, not just repeating the same process, but finding the better in it and continuing with it is, you know, you're not just riding a wave that's going to cycle out after 5 years of something. You know, you're going to continue with what you've been doing. And I don't know, that's my statement on it.
All right, how about this sort of secondary question? I know a lot of people feel like deathcore, maybe from like 2012 to 2014 or so, was kind of dead. And now, more recently, like with your new album with bands like Lorna Shore, A Night in Texas, like Carnifex's new album, stuff like that, it's kind of like re-emerging as like a serious big thing. Do you guys feel that way, being one of those bands? Do you feel like it's surging up and down, or not as much?
I think it is. It has kind of made a comeback. I don't think it's as strong as it was when it first, you know, burst onto the scene. You know, with like JFAC and you know, Suicide Silence and Spies and all that stuff. But it's there, because I mean, the bands that kind of started the hype for it are still going. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of new bands that are going to want to replicate that, because it obviously is still something that people want to listen to, and then bands like us, who I wouldn't consider to be someone who really like helped innovate it or anything like that, but I feel at least that we were in that time gap where it did kind of
A staple,
pop off.
for sure.
Yeah. So and we're still going with it, you know, and still enjoying to play it. So it's kind of hard too, because we're basically, for better or worse, mixing death metal into, I mean, not so much hardcore anymore, but basically death metal with modern metal. And it's like you can't really get much heavier than that. You know, there's no heavier point you can go. So
yeah, that's what I was sort of looking for, I guess, when I asked about the future of deathcore, because if you look at bands like Lorna Shore and A Night in Texas, they have these it's like almost black metal-y, but it's really just death metal. The face paint can kind of fool you, but it's really just death metal. And I think that's kind of the future of deathcore, and you guys are like being part of that too.
I'm hoping the future of Lorna Shore is face paint.
That would be awesome.
I would love to see that.
Okay, no, I'm talking about like I think it's A Night in Texas. I think one of their music videos has like face paint type stuff.
Well, you know what it is though. I think the future is actually making the heaviness just more memorable. Really. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Is like it needs to be something where everybody can just, you know, be sitting at work on, you know, I mean, humming along and just like remembering, even though it might be just disgustingly brutal, it's still something that's memorable. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you know, not knocking the craziness of death metal and metal and everything. You know, I mean, because I love it and we all do. You know, but I think that's kind of, you know. I think that's kind of like an important factor. I know definitely like we're shaping ourselves to be that way, and you know.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, you want to walk away from a show, whether you've seen the band for the first time or seen the band for the 10th time. You want to walk away at least like going like, oh damn, like that one riff, you know, was like. Yeah,
for sure. Like there's still slams and stuff, but like, you know, Desolation of Eden from Chelsea Grin way back then, it's not like as chuggy anymore. Like deathcore's kind of moved on to the more memorable like riffs and stuff like what you're talking about.
I mean, well, it's also too, you know, how much work you put into it too. You can't just say, oh, you know, well, I'm gonna try to copycat something else. You know, you just have to dig deep and just really, you know.
Okay, cool. So we're getting pretty close to the end. I think this is the last question I really prepared. And it goes sort of directly to Adam and your social media, although the rest of you guys may have interests in this area too. Has to do with your like retro video game.
Oh god. See you guys later.
Maybe it's good that I put this one down last.
Hey.
You guys can bail. But yeah, man, it's like a pretty big thing on your Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. All right, so now they bailed. Now we can have some one-to-one, heart-to-heart. You can tell me your true feelings for like NES and like Nintendo and all these things.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'll let you finish this first one. I have like a part 2 really quick at the end of it. You just love it, huh?
Oh, so just generally speaking, like
what's your favorite game? What's your favorite console? How come you love it? This is like a big part. I feel like people have to be wondering this.
I'll condense. It kind of really got into. I guess I started actually like hardcore collecting probably like 3 years ago. When I was younger, I was a lot more into video games, and then I got into sports and other things like that, and obviously music. And just so fairly more recently in the past years, I got back into it and just discovering a lot of the games I didn't know about. You know, there's a lot of video game related stuff that you just didn't know about. So I'm really into that. You know, just learning about it, learning the history of video games and just all of that stuff. And I generally have gravitated more to Nintendo because that's what I grew up on playing. Like every console I ever had was always Nintendo. Nothing else, nothing more. You know, and so I'm basically just a Nintendo fanboy, and I still dabble with other consoles. But I just like discovering new games, you know, that I didn't know existed and stuff like that.
How about your favorite game?
Favorite game at the moment, I'd say. So that's so hard. I usually have like a handful that I like to play. I would say probably lately I've enjoyed playing. There's a game on Super Nintendo called Legend, and so it's like another obscure. It's like a beat 'em up game. You just kind of side scroll and just beat the crap out of the enemies. You're like kind of like a barbarian of sorts. You have like a sword. You just basically just beat the crap out of everything that comes to you, and eventually at the end you have bosses. Basically the bosses are like usually like I don't know, like weird related stuff in that lore, you know, like a creature, like you fight a giant tree at the beginning and things like that. So it's just kind of in that realm, you know, kind of like Conan mixed with the like Lord of the Rings vibe.
Okay. The second part might be way off base. I'm not sure. Do you get any like inspiration kind of stuff from the games you play? And I'm kind of drawing on from like Doom has like a pretty like the soundtrack of Doom is pretty heavy, like pretty metally and that kind of stuff. Are there any like video game influences in your music, or just not as much?
There's not. I wish, but I've thought about trying to incorporate something, but I think some bands have a better vibe for that than us. So shout out to Within the Ruins. Obviously, a lot of their tunes, their melodies are video game inspired. So stuff like that. I wish, or even we could do that kind of like. I don't like calling it nerdy, but fictional realm of things, video games, comics. I wish we could insert that in there because it's cool, but just some bands have that. We're more.
Do you feel like you're limited and you can't? Because I don't think your fans would like shy away if you did that.
I don't think so. I think it would be it would be way more drastic than the direction that we are going, and I've just wanted, not to say those things aren't important, but I've always just tried to, at least lyrically, I've liked to write about things that A, I'm interested in, and B, things that I feel people need to be conscious of. So
cool. That's the end of my questions. Do you have anything you want to say to anybody watching?
I'd say if you haven't, depending when this airs, if you haven't got your tickets for a date on the Common Vision tour, come out, grab a ticket, come hang out. Feel free to come talk to us. We are not diva, egocentric people, so you don't have to ask me about, hey, can I meet you or anything. Just come say hi and we'll hang out for a little bit and chat. The second thing is get ready for the next tour that we're doing, as we just talked about. It's going to be really ridiculous, and you'll definitely get your money's worth.
Cool, guys. Yeah, make sure you pick up Ascendants as well. Keep an eye out for whatever this new album is that they have in the works. Yeah, the Straight Outta Hell Tour, and thanks to Adam from Oceano. Make sure you say it right if you're going to hang out with him, and the rest of the guys. And thanks for watching.